tàwa yìí ST Yorùbá ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire.
On the news tonight. On the news tonight, as Muslims in Nigeria join the rest of the world to celebrate this year's Eid al-Kabir, President Buhari offers prayers for peaceful coexistence. Governor Oyetola of Osun felicitates with Muslims, admonishes political elites to conduct themselves peacefully in the next Saturday gubernatorial election. While on the foreign scene, Japan mourns former Prime Minister. Good evening, Bakadisala to our esteemed viewers, and welcome to the major reports. I am Olubumi Ajiboye Agbuola. Governor there was tight security in and around the Kofa Arewa Eid prayer ground, Daura, in the morning when President Muhammadu Buhari joined Emir of Daura Alhaji Farouk Umar and other dignitaries to offer prayers in commemoration of this year's Eid al-Kabir. President Buhari arrived at the prayer ground around shortly after the prayers were offered. The Emir of Daura Alhaji Farouk Umar urged Nigerians not to relent in their prayers for the president and the country. The royal father, who spoke in Hausa language, said the president had done his best for the country, insisting that Daura and Nigeria have benefited a lot from his government. Governor Aminu Masari and the Emir of Katsina State, Dr. Abdulmumini Usman, also joined other Muslims in Katsina State on today in celebrating the Salah. The symbolic slaughtering of ram was also performed at the prayer ground shortly after the prayers. Similarly, Governor Adegboyega Oyetola has admonished political elites to conduct themselves peacefully in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. The governor gave the admonition shortly after observing Eid prayer in Osogbo, the state capital, in commemoration of this year's Eid al-Kabir. Governor's office correspondent Soya Honoridi asked more.
Governor Adegboyega Oyetola joined Islamic faithful across the world at Osogbo Central Eid praying ground to mark this year Eid al-Kabir prayer. Speaking after observing the mandatory Eid prayer along Ibokun Osogbo Road, Osogbo, the state capital, Governor Oyetola admonished adherents to demonstrate act of genuine sacrifice and submission to the will of Allah. The governor also cautioned political elites to conduct themselves peacefully in the forthcoming gubernatorial election, adding that election should not be a do-or-die affair, but a democratic process in electing a leader.
My message to the people is that we should always be grateful to God. We should always ensure we keep promises that we make. The essence of this Eid al-Kabir is a question of making sure that you promise, whatever promise you make, you fulfill it. I want to enjoy our people to please ensure that the election that is coming up is peaceful. We should not engage in any violence. Election is not a do-or-die affair. So our state is known for peace. I want the peace to be maintained.
A theme re-echoed by the senator representing Osun Central Senatorial District, Senator Ajibola Bashir.
election of anybody is not worth the spilling of blood of anybody. So we want everybody to be peaceful and go and play by the rules and ensure that the election is free, and fair and transparent.
In a sermon, Chief Imam of Oshobo, Sheikh Musa Animashaun, reminded Islamic faithful that heaven remains a final destination for all, which must constantly guide the conduct of human beings, irrespective of wealth, position, and comfort, adding that life is nothing but a short time to live. Alhaji Animashaun implore the politician to play the game by the rule, ensuring coexistence before, during, and after the forthcoming gubernatorial election, urging the eligible voters not to sell their votes, but vote with their conscience for the progress and developments of the state. Eid Kabir represents a symbolic obedience on the part of Prophet Ibrahim in fulfilling his promise to Allah on Ismail, but substituted with Ram, that is being celebrated by Islamic faithful annually. From the governor's office, Sanya Ononide reporting.
Similarly, Osun State's Deputy Governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, has felicitated with Muslims around the world on the occasion of this year's Eid al-Kabir. He stressed that the exemplary attributes of obedience and selfless displayed by Prophet Ibrahim should be a guiding principle for every Muslim and people of all the faiths. He added that the festival remains significant as it instills the conviction of total submission to the will of Almighty Allah in all adherents. Mr. Alabi expressed optimism that the national challenges would be seamlessly surmounted if everyone selflessly contributes his quota to the development and growth of the nation and submits to the will of the Creator. In the same vein, the Prophet did and prayed God to reward their faith in him bountifully. He also pointed out that the people of Osun State should go to poll next Saturday to play the game according to the rule and be guided by spirit of selflessness and patriotism. Muslims in Oshobo, the state capital of Osun State, joined their counterparts all over the world to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir festival. Islamic clerics who led the 2 rakat prayers at the various Eid prayer grounds admonished Nigerian leaders and the followers to imbibe the virtues, obedience, and total submission to the will of Allah as exemplified by Prophet Ibrahim. Oluchi Amoda has the details.
Also known as the Festival of Sacrifice, is one of the most important celebrations in Islam, usually hinged on the historical move by Prophet Ibrahim, who submitted himself to the instructions of Allah to sacrifice his son Ismail. Prophet Ibrahim's willingness to obey Allah's command earned him unlimited blessings from Allah, who provided the sacrificial lamb in place of the Prophet's son. At the various Eid praying grounds visited by OSBC News in Oshobo, capital of Osun State, in areas such as the Oshobo Eid praying ground, Okebale, Amid Omidiro Central Mosque, Shasha, Ahmadiyya Eid Praying Ground, Testing Ground, Afonta Central Mosque, Oshobo, Islauddin Central Mosque, Alekodo, among others, the clerics led the faithful in the 2 rakat prayers. In their separate interviews with OSBC News on the significance of the celebration, the Chief Imam of Ahmadiyya Central Mosque, Sheikh Mahamadu Adiniro, Chief Imam of Afonta Central Mosque, Sheikh Abdul Wahab Bani, and an Islamic cleric, Alhaji Bello Mubarak, spoke on the need for leaders of the country and the followers to imbibe the virtues of obedience, truthfulness, and total submission to the will of Allah, as practiced by Prophet Ibrahim. They maintain that anyone who wants to serve Allah wholeheartedly must learn to make sacrifice for the benefit of humanity.
The major lesson that we all, including our leaders, should learn from it is the lesson of being obedient, the lesson of being submissive, the lesson of being God-fearing. When they uphold that major point of being God-fearing, of course, everything will fall as it's supposed to.
Afẹ́kí ìmánì kó jòkó lára wọn, àsìfẹ́kí sùúrù kó jòkó lára wọn, àsìfẹ́kí ìfaradà kó jòkó lára wọn.
It is a lesson for our leaders as well, that if you want your name to be remembered forever, the act of sacrifice must be something you cherish.
The celebration climaxed with the slaughtering of the symbolic ram in commemoration of the provision of Allah to Prophet Ibrahim in place of his son Ismail. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
Meanwhile, the Eid al-Kabir festival presented opportunities for Islamic faithful to marry and have fun. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga captures some of the memorable moments of the festival.
The weather condition was clement as Muslims dressed gorgeously in their best attire as they trooped to the various Eid praying ground for the all-important celebration. Security operatives were fully on ground to maintain law and order as they equally controlled vehicular movements. And after the prayers, it was celebration galore. The icing on the cake was the slaughtering of Ileya rams to the delight of both families and friends. An Islamic cleric, Sheikh Hafiz Shamon Gongo, explained that the rams must be slaughtered based on Quranic injunctions.
The most important to say when we want to slaughter the ram is Bismillah Allahu Akbar.
The celebration provided opportunity for merrymaking as the faithful servant relished the delicious taste of the rams and other meals prepared for the celebration. It was indeed a joyful celebration as the memories of the events will linger on the minds of the people. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga reporting for OSBC News.
Leaders in all strata of the Nigerian polity have been urged to desist from making remarks capable of causing crisis in our communities and the nation. Business mogul and Asiwaju Musulumi of Yorubaland, Edo and Delta, Dr. Kamis Olatunde Badmus gave the admonition in his message in commemoration of this year's Eid al-Adha celebrations. Dr. Olatunde Badmus said millions of followers of those in various positions of authority tend to do whatever their leaders ask them to do, hence the need for those leading to be cautious in speech, action, and conduct. He said patience, resilience, and obedience to the Almighty Allah, as exhibited by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Prophet Ismail, are virtues that all Nigerians should embrace for the nation to witness peace and progress. Dr. Badmus therefore called on those in positions of authority to execute policies aimed at encouraging the Nigerian youth to be responsible, productive, and patriotic as the advancement of Nigeria rests on their mental, physical, and psychosocial energy. He added that the electorate in Osun State should be peaceful and orderly while casting their vote next Saturday during the state gubernatorial election. Beneficiaries of Osun Free Train Service have been charged to reciprocate the good gesture of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola by ensuring that he is re-elected for second term to continue his people's-oriented programs. The Commissioner for Commerce, Industry, Cooperative and Empowerment, Dr. Bode Olaonepegun, who gave the charge, while welcoming the beneficiaries that arrived Osogbo for the Eid al-Kabir celebration, spoke on the need for the Nigerian Railway Corporation to improve on its service delivery for the betterment of the people. Oluchi Amoda completes the story.
The coaches of the train were filled to capacity as holiday makers took advantage of the free train service offered by the Adegboyega Oyetola administration to travel all the way from Lagos, Abeokuta, Ibadan, as well as other neighboring towns to celebrate the Eid al-Kabir with their loved ones. while welcoming the beneficiaries of the Osun Free Train Service. Commissioner for Commerce, Industry, Cooperative and Empowerment, Dr. Bode Olaonipekun, who stated that to whom match is given, match is equally expected, charged the beneficiaries to vote in Governor Adegboyega Oyetola for second term for the continuity of his people's-oriented programs.
Alhaji Gboyega Oyetola to continue in office, to accomplish and consolidate on all the good foundational work that we have begun is very important, and we need their support. And the only support that they can give at this point in time is their votes.
Dr. Olaonipekun, who was accompanied by one of the directors of the ministry, Mrs. Ajibola Falode, spoke on the partnership between the Osun State government and the Nigerian Railway Corporation, adding that there is need for the corporation to review its mode of operation in terms of provision of quality coaches and functional train engines for effective service delivery.
We implore Nigerian Railway to do better than what we are getting from them now as a valued customer.
Some of the passengers of the free train service who spoke in separate interviews with OSBC News, including Mr. Abdulateef Oyedeji, Mrs. Kudirat Oluokun, and Mr. Olasukomi, commended Governor Oyetola for sustaining the program, which noted has helped in providing succor to families living outside Osun State to celebrate festivities with their loved ones, despite the present economic reality. They promised to ensure the continuity of the Oyetola administration through the power of the ballots.
I pray for him, but for his second time, we must make it.
I'm living at Lagos, but I know that I'm voting here. It's the purpose of the voting, that's why I'm here.
I'm from Lagos. So, yeah, the journey is fine.
The free train is expected to depart from Osogbo to Lagos on Tuesday next week. Oluchi Amuda, OSBC News.
In the meantime, traditional rulers and residents of Ife South local government area have asserted that they were unwavering in their resolve towards the re-election of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola in the forthcoming gubernatorial election in sustaining the tempo of developmental transformation unfolding across the state. The community leaders made the declaration in Ife-Tedu during Governor Oyetola's campaign tour to the area. Governor's office correspondent Soya Honoride is standing by with the rest of the story.
Communities in Ife South local government area of the state of Osun, including Ayoba, Garajolode, Ife-Tedu, among others, burst over as the campaign train of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola called on the residents of the areas to solicit support for the re-election of Governor Adegboyega Oyetola in the forthcoming gubernatorial election, speaking after receiving the symbolic royal blessings from Olubosin of Ife-Tedu. Governor Adegboyega Oyetola reassured the traditional rulers and chiefs in the area of his focus towards taking the state onto an enviable pedestal in the nearest future through infrastructural developments as well as welfare policies and robust economy. Oba Akinola Oyetade Akinrera, flanked by traditional rulers and chiefs in the area, while commending Governor Oyetola for the incredible feat recorded across the state, maintained that residents are unwavering in their resolve in ensuring the re-election of Governor Oyetola in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. At Oritameri Ife-Tedu, the governor disclosed that more developmental projects and welfare packages were in the pipeline if re-elected in the forthcoming gubernatorial election. He therefore urged the eligible voters to pick up their permanent voters card and be sensitive and vigilant on the e-voting process in delivering landslide victory at the poll. The Director General of Oyetola's campaign council, Senator Ajibola Bashir, said that it is imperative to elect a tested administrator personified in Governor Oyetola than someone who is likely to derail the wheel of progress and developments currently shaping through Osun landscape. Dignitaries on the campaign train with the governor were the wife of the governor, Mrs. Kafayat Oyetola, the deputy governor, Mr. Benedict Alabi, the wife of the deputy governor, Mrs. Oyefunke Alabi, former deputy governor, Mrs. Titila Oyeponle, leadership and members of the All Progressive Congress from across the state. From the governor's office, Sanya Onoide reporting.
Residents of Osun State have commended Governor Adegboyega Oyetola for embarking on a 3-day free medical and surgical outreach through the State Primary Health Care Board for his prompt response to health care from the grassroots. During the outreach, doctors, nurses, and different categories of healthcare providers offered medical cares for the people suffering from different kinds of ailments and other health challenges in their area. Omotayo Adebodo has the details.
Of people of Ebeda, Ila, and Ifelodun of Osun State, when the state, through the Osun State Primary Health Care, provided free medical and surgical outreach to care for them. The exercise took place in Ido Osun Primary Health Care Center in Ebedore Local Government, Ilarogun Primary Health Care Center in Ila Local Government, and Ifelodun Primary Health Care Center in Ikirun. The 3-day medical outreach, which cut across cluster local governments in the state, features routine immunization, COVID-19 vaccination, free medical screening and treatments such as malaria, hypertension, diabetes testing and treatments, health talks, education, counseling, and free surgeries. Speaking at the event, the Director of Medical Services and Disease Control, Osun State Primary Health Care Board, Dr. Adebukola Omotola, appreciated Governor Adegboyega Oyetola for his quick response to health care from the grassroots. She stated that the exercise has been largely successful in all cluster local governments.
Governor Boyega Oyetola is highly responsive to health issues. In fact, the issue of health, especially primary health care, which is healthcare delivery at the grassroots, is flagship. The exercise has been highly successful. There's been a large turnout, and our staff have been fully on ground. They've been very excellent.
Some of the medical officers who spoke with the OSBC News in Ebedore, Ifelodun, and in Ila local government all testified to the large turnout of people who have been living with various ailments but could not afford proper medical care.
Gather every one of them together, then we book them for appointment. But the people that don't need surgery, they have been receiving adequate treatment since day before yesterday.
It is very impressive. People have been coming out in large number. You know, this place is more or less a referral center. We have all other health facilities that they've been rendering services. But if they have any difficult case or surgical case, they will refer them here. So the day before yesterday, we attended to close to 100 people here that they referred here. Outside the focus centers, we have 11 focus centers.
You are welcome to our sports segment. Lukante and Ruben Loftus-Cheek will not travel due to their COVID vaccination status. Chelsea are due to play 3 pre-season friendlies in the United States. Omotayo Adebodo has details.
Cheek will miss the club's pre-season tour to the United States because of their COVID vaccination status. The Blue traveled to Los Angeles today for a training camp, but travelers who are not fully vaccinated against coronavirus are not allowed to enter the United States. Currently, only U.S. citizens are allowed to enter the country if they are not fully vaccinated. Chelsea are due to play 3 pre-season friendlies in the United States. They would face Mexico's Club America. In the meantime, Brentford have signed Bologna defender Aaron Hickey for £70 million, including add-ons. The 20-year-old Scotland international has signed a 4-year deal and joined the Bees, subject to international clearance.
Another forensic in Japan has mourned the assassination of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, whose body was being moved to Tokyo from the western town, where he was gunned down at close range on the campaign trail. The murder of best-known Japan politician ratified the country and set shockwaves around the world, particularly given the nation's low levels of crime and street gun laws. The man accused of shooting Abe is in custody with police saying he had confessed to assassinating him and he was motivated by a belief Abe was linked to an unspecified group. And that ends the major reports on OSBC TV. It was edited by Oladayo Olanipeku. I am Olubomi Ajiboye Agbola. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Startent dé pẹ̀lú eré alárinrin white flower. Bí ẹ ti mọ̀ pé a fẹ́ràn yín, la ṣe pinnu láti ṣe àfihàn white flower eré òde òyìnbó sí èdè Yorùbá fún ìgbádùn yín. Agbẹjọ́rò Dante Cruz àti aya rẹ̀ ló ṣe kò gẹ́ ìfowójì lọ́wọ́ àwọn agbanipa látàrí ẹ̀rí ìwà àjẹbánu èyí tí ó ń tọpinpin lórí gómìnà Julio Andante àti ọmọ rẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n orí kó ọmọ wọn Lily yọ ní ọjọ́ náà. Ta ló pa mòfin ọ̀hún? Kí ni padàbọ̀ Lily sílùú Andante? White flower yóò mọ̀ wá sójú ìwòran yín lórí ìkànnì ST Yorùbá lóṣù karùn-ún yìí láti ọjọ́ ajé sí ọjọ́ ẹtì dédé aago 8 àṣálẹ́ lórí ìkànnì táwa yìí ST Yorùbá ọmọ káàárọ̀ òjíire.
To the people of Osun State, but the politicians, please